Hey everybody, here we go. We are going to look at getting ready for sixth grade. And so I'm on khanacademy.org. You go to courses and then you go to get ready for sixth grade. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 sections. So we'll start there. We have to break one up or might add some actual sixth grade content. But right here, we're going to start with arithmetic operations. We're going to do the quizzes. And so if we do quiz 1 and you find like, this is too much information, I am lost on these concepts, then before quiz 1, these assignments have all the questions grouped into one assignment per type of question. So you can go back and do one assignment at a time. But to give you an overview, I'm doing all the quizzes. All right. So the rule is if I write it down, you write it down. If you get it wrong, make sure you are prepared to share about it, whether it's a small mistake or whether you need to understand part of it. You know, either one of those is just fine. I may even get one wrong along the way, and I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm just going to figure out what I did wrong. It happens to everyone. So this first one is dividing, right? And we're dividing a whole number and a fraction. So the rule for that is to flip and multiply, right? So we change that division to multiplication. We change it to 4/1. Also, we make the whole number into a fraction, and then we just multiply across the top. 6 times 4 is 24, and 1 times 1 is just 1. And we don't have to write 24/1. We can just write 24. Now, if I get a similar question, then I'm just going to skip it. So like this one is a similar question, except we have a picture. So how many pieces are there? So let's do the math. 2 wholes are divided into, we can just do the math, right? So it's times 8/1, 16. Did we have to actually do the counting? All right, which image shows? So you can take in, maybe we should do this one. Okay, let's do this one. So this time the fraction is in front, but the principle is the same. We're going to put that whole number over 1. We are going to multiply and flip, and then multiply across to get 1/20. So we're looking for the one that has 20 spaces and just 1 filled up. And so I see that A has 1 filled up and there's 20 spaces. B has 1, 2, 3, 4 filled up. Well, that's not right. All right, so this is like one that I'm not going to do because we already did it. And this one as well. Just move along. So that's quiz 1. Not too bad. Moving on to quiz 2. Now we're talking about division, long division, so important. It comes back in high school too. But you learn it here first. It's also a good process. You know, we do the same 4 steps over and over again. With these bigger divisors here, I like to write out multiples of them. So I can just go back to the list. I don't know if you do that. Oh my. Okay. So now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That should serve me well. Maybe I could go up to 9 if I have to. So 20 goes into, let's just do 74. How many times does 20 go into 74? Looks like 3 times. So put the 3 and then multiply and then subtract, and we get 14. Bring down the 0. How many times is, oh my, how many times is 20 going to 140? That's 7 times. 7 times 20 is 140. And there's a remainder of 0. So 37 remainder 0. Okay, and I got it. All right. Which of the following correctly multiplies 2,934 times 5 using the standard algorithm? That's another thing. That you learn a lot of different ways to do one thing in elementary school, I think. But this is the way I multiply all the time. I mean, sometimes when I'm doing it in my head, I break it down. But if I'm on paper, this is how I do it. So let's do it. 2,934 and 5. We're going to do 5 times 4 is 20. Put the 2 up there. 5 times 3 is 15. Plus 2 is 17. Put the 1 up there. 5 times 9 is 45. Plus 1 is 46. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 4 is 14. So I should see a 4, 1, 2. And yeah, it matches. Notice also that I had no trouble multiplying by single digits. And going into 6th grade, you need to have no trouble multiplying by single digits, or you're just going to make your life really hard. So make sure you're practicing that. You know if you need to work on that, because you know if you get them right or wrong, you'll know quicker than me. All right, so when we multiply by double digits, we're going to multiply everything by 0, and then for the tens place, we put a 0 there, and then we multiply everything by the 2. So 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 8 is 16, put the 1 up there. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11, and then we add our 2 results together. 116,880. Okay. So then you can do the division there. Just skip that one. Just set it up as a long division problem. You can do the multiplication. All right. Moving on to quiz 3. Subtraction with decimals. This also is important. When we are subtracting with decimals, we must line up the decimal place. So this is a line up the decimal. Remember, I write it down, you write it down for addition and subtraction. All right, so what if there's no decimal? Then you can put 0.0, but those decimal places must be lined up. And now we take away, we do the subtraction. 1 minus 0 is 1. Borrow there. 6, 3. There we go. Most common mistake is people go like this. And that is wrong. It will not get you 36.1. You know what? Decimal math is money math, so you could be losing a lot of money. So line up the decimal and try that one. Line up. Oh, yeah. All right. So I'll just show you real quick. 84.65 minus 71.2. And what do we put right here? A 0. So you can put zeros after the decimal, after the significant digits, and then do the subtraction. You can do it. I know you can. Sorry, I'm skipping all these, but it's just subtraction. More subtraction. Just line up the decimal. You're going to do great. You don't need me for this, I don't think. If you do, If you do, you can just ask. All right, the last one, last quiz. Quiz 4. Okay, so division with decimals. So when we're dividing like this, we want to put the 0.08 on the outside, the 720 on the inside. I think sometimes I get flipped around with these problems. I have to double check myself. But remember, when we double check ourselves, we can use multiplication to check division. But in this setup, what you want to do is you want to take the divisor and you want to change it so that it is not a decimal. So we need to move the decimal point over 2 spots. In order to do that, that would make it 8. But that means that we have to take the decimal point on the inside and move that over 2 spots. 1, 2. That's got to move over 1, 2. So that makes it 72000. And now we just do our long division. 8 goes into 72 9 times. And then 9 times 8. Oh, and that's 0. Down 0. It goes 0 times 0. So it's just going to end up here. 9,000. So if you divide 720 by 0.08, that means 9,000. So let's check that. That means that 9,000 times 0.08 equals 720. And I do believe that that's true. Now, multiplication by decimals, we are not lining up the decimals. Do not line up decimals. You know what? If you don't practice this now, you're not just going to learn it. Because I have had 8th graders this year that said, wait a minute, what happened with the decimals? You have to learn it, you have to practice it so you don't forget it. So it's calculators, they get in the way. Throw your calculator to the other room. Okay, you don't need it. What we're going to do is we are going to forget about the decimal, and then we'll put it back at the end. So we're just going to multiply 35 times 9. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 4 is 31. And now I'm going to count numbers behind decimal. How many numbers are behind the decimal? 1, 2, 3. So 3 total, which means we want to take and move a decimal point 3 into our answer, making our final answer 0.315, 0.315, or 315 thousandths. All right. Division by decimals, we talked about that. Get rid of the decimal in the divisor. Multiplication by decimals, we talked about that. Division by decimals, we talked about that. All right. So go for it. Give it your best shot and be ready to communicate all the things you got right, the things you got wrong but made mistakes and you know them. And of course, the most important, the things that you made mistakes and you're not sure about, at least something you want to ask about it. Those are the best kind for me.